Joining us now, California Board of Equalization Chairman and former California State Representative Ted Gaines. Ted, great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. It's easy to point the finger at these insurance companies, but the rules and regulations in this state have strangled the ability of insurance companies to price insurance accurately. And they have been crying to the heavens about this for years and finally began pulling out. They have had to rely on only historical data when determining rates and couldn't even use modern wildfire insurance modeling to determine what insurance should cost. And they, in the last 10 years, including the two wildfire years of 2017, 2018, they lost 8 cents for every dollar they collected in premiums in the state.
That's right, exactly. And this goes way back to Prop 103, which was an initiative that was put on the ballot that basically limited price increases that insurers could ask for from the Department of Insurance. It made the insurance commissioner an elected individual, and it suppressed pricing of homeowners policies over the last couple of decades. And now we're seeing the result of that basic overregulation of the insurance industry. And I think also an overregulated government that has prevented us from doing what we needed to do all the way back to the Angora fire in Lake Tahoe in 2007, when I was serving in the legislature and warning about how we need to thin our forests and we need to protect our communities.
Ted, how's this going to play out now? Because we're talking about the history leading up to this moment. It was already really difficult for a lot of Californians to get affordable or requisite insurance. And now we've got the living nightmare still playing out. At some point, people are going to have to try to figure out how to rebuild. And then comes the next round of insurance-related decisions. I mean, it feels like this is probably going to get worse, right?
Unfortunately, I think it is. I'm very concerned about the California Fair Plan, which is a quasi-governmental entity, the place of last resort for someone to get homeowners insurance. Our concern has always been that it is not properly capitalized. It does not have enough money in reserve to pay out claims. And I think with these fires, very unfortunate circumstances in Southern California, it could make the California Fair Plan insolvent. And part of the problem with all this is that if they run out of money, the insurance commissioner has authority to go back to the insurance companies and say, you need to pay for the balance of these claims, when those companies already have their own claims that they need to pay out on. So it's going to be a very difficult situation that government's got to step up and work with the industry in solving this crisis.
Well, Ted, if we know anything about the way that liberal Democrats work, California will go to the federal government for money. And the reason that we played that piece of sound from Kamala Harris is she's talking about people who don't have insurance. People who were dropped by their private insurance carrier, they could always go to get fire insurance to the insurer of last resort in the state, the FAIR Plan. And so I caution people, because there's going to be a lot of guilt laid on Republicans about people don't have insurance, the federal government needs to come in. You just wait a second, because they're going to try and force people to, again, how many people don't have insurance? You know, why should the federal taxpayer have to help someone rebuild who did have insurance, who lived in a multi-million-dollar home? The buck needs to stop when it comes to the federal government bailing out the highest tax state in the nation.
Well, I think what we really need to do is we need more competition in the marketplace for insurance here in the state of California. And we've made that very difficult because of suppressed rate approval by the Department of Insurance that goes back well over a decade. Mm-hmm. And when we first started having these wildfires back in 2017, that should have been a wake-up call for everybody, that we've got to figure out how to solve the crisis then and the crises that will continue into the future.
Thank you, Ted. Great to see you. Ted Gaines.